Do you think there's any merit to it, especially given how it's as simple as India being used when you talk about our country in English, and Bharat being used as a word which is being used for Hindi or Hindi denotion?
See, as a former colony, it is an attempt of a politically as well as civilizationally independent civilizational state to reassert its origins through its name. And therefore, if your name reflects an inheritance from the colonizer, there is something deeply problematic about your consciousness. And therefore, I don't see a problem with it one bit. If you go through the process of decolonization and its scholarship across the world, naming or renaming is one of the essential aspects. Why do you think Cassius Clay chose to give up the name of his slaver and then became Muhammad Ali? People had a problem with that, and he had a very clear response to that, saying, why should I continue with the name of the person who was my slave master? And similarly, India was known as Bharat before, and we would rather be known by a name that we have given to ourselves than a name that's been given to us by a colonizer. What's wrong with it?
Okay.
Any self-respecting country which aspires to occupy some kind of a position in the world must at the very least start by renaming itself by a name that it has given to itself.
Okay. So do you think the nomenclature India instead of Bharat is problematic, or do you think the two should continue to coexist, and perhaps formally we should resort to using Bharat more often? Where do you stand personally on this?
I stand personally on the point that India must use singularly Bharat, and India must not figure in our official communication as well, because it's perfectly justified. If you go through the Constitutional Assembly debates, the exhortations of several members of the Constitution was that it should be Bharat and Bharat alone. In fact, even Bharatvarsha was proposed as an alternative. India was some kind of a compromise between anglicized Indians and Bharatiyas.
Okay. And is this going to be legally challenging if at all we do see a resolution being moved in the upcoming session of the Parliament? Replacing India with Bharat is not going to be an easy walk, I believe. If you could take us through the legal contours.
Going by the track record of the current political opposition, which doesn't seem to have enough issues to deal with, or even if there are enough issues to take up, they seem to take up the most trivial of issues. I will not be surprised if they knock the doors of the Supreme Court with yet another frivolous petition on challenging this name change. Legally, there's no problem. I don't think there is any constitutional bar to this particular resolution being moved or even passed by the Parliament.
Okay, so are there no legal hurdles if you have to do away with the name India and replace it with Bharat?
What are you going to do at the end of the day? You're only going to pass an amendment. There are two ways of going about it: that you replace the word India across the Constitution, or you at least replace it in Article 1. And then you supplement it by saying that references to India and the rest of the provisions of the Constitution shall be deemed as references to Bharat, period.
Okay.